In the Manchurian Candidate, a soldier is captured, brainwashed, and sent home programmed to kill on command, with no memory of it. Audiences called it Cold War paranoia fiction. It wasn't fiction. In January 1952, a CIA memo asked this exact question, word for word. Can we get control of an individual to the point where he will do our bidding against his will, and even against fundamental laws of nature, such as self-preservation? That program had a name: Artichoke. And archivists today call its declassified files exactly what you're thinking. The CIA's own Manchurian Candidate documents. August 20th, 1951. Project Artichoke officially stands up inside the CIA's Office of Scientific Intelligence, grown out of an earlier effort called BLUEBIRD. The agency's own cryptonym definition, later declassified, the study and/or use of special interrogation methods and techniques, drugs and chemicals, hypnosis, and total isolation, a form of psychological harassment. By 1952, control of the program passed to the CIA's Office of Security, run day-to-day by a unit called the Security Research Staff. Here's exactly what the declassified file says they did. Hypnosis. An internal log reviewed by the CIA's own historians recorded numerous, probably several hundred, hypnosis experiments conducted inside agency buildings, using staff volunteers or subjects, through 1951, 1952, and 1953. Drugs. Earlier still. In October 1950, the operation's first real test subjects were North Korean prisoners of war. By 1952, it went further. CIA officers themselves were secretly dosed with LSD, without being told in advance, just to observe the effects. One file states an agent was kept on LSD for 77 straight days. And by the file's own account, this wasn't loosely run. Interrogation requests using drugs were logged and required sign-off. 1959 cable literally requests a P1 interrogation. P1 was the agency's own internal code for an interrogation using LSD. Now put the Manchurian Candidate next to the file. The film's plot. A soldier is hypnotically conditioned into an assassin who will kill a U.S. political figure on a trigger cue with total amnesia afterward. Declassified CIA files confirm Artichoke's stated objective was almost identical. Internal agency records openly discuss whether hypnosis could produce someone who would, quote, act against a prominent politician or, if necessary, an American official, with no memory of having done it. This isn't a case of art imitating rumor. Historians who obtained these files literally titled their write-up, "The CIA Attempt to Create a Manchurian Candidate." The comparison isn't ours. It's the agency's own declassified paper trail inviting it. The file gets darker from here. November 1953. Frank Olson, a U.S. Army civilian scientist, is secretly dosed with LSD by an agency chemist during a work retreat, without his knowledge or consent. Days later, Olson falls to his death from a 10th-floor hotel window in New York. The CIA's own internal memo admits the drug had been administered without the prior knowledge or approval of the offices that were supposed to authorize it. Artichoke teams operated overseas, too. Records place operations across Europe, Japan, Southeast Asia, and the Philippines, using, in the program's own words, aliens as subjects. And it didn't stop in the 1950s. In 2026, newly surfaced declassified documents confirmed the same family of programs experimented directly on Korean War prisoners in U.S. custody, a fact only fully documented decades after the war ended. By April 1953, the file shows Artichoke folded into a new, better-known name, MK Ultra. Here's the strangest part. Even the CIA's own internal reviewers couldn't fully reconstruct what happened. The 1975 memo that forms our primary source for tonight, written by the agency's own Office of Security to answer exactly this question, ends with this admission, verbatim. Insufficient information was available to provide a clear understanding of either Project BLUEBIRD or Project ARTICHOKE. Investigators found that numerous files and collected data had been routinely purged or destroyed. By 1907, an internal log notes, the term artichoke wasn't even in use anymore. Not because the work stopped, because it had already become something else. The Manchurian Candidate asked audiences to imagine a government capable of reprogramming a human mind against their will, then erasing the memory of it. The unsettling part isn't that a novelist imagined it. It's that a real CIA memo, in the agency's own declassified words, asked the identical question first and admitted, in writing, that its own records were too incomplete to say for certain where the experiment ever really stopped. The 1975 CIA memo is public record. Sources and the full document link are in the description below. So next time a story like this gets called just a thriller plot, ask which declassified file it was actually copied from. Follow the white rabbit. There's another file underneath this one.